He's like, you got to do something like 1,000 times to make it a habit. You got to do something more than thousands of times to make it muscle memory.
Yeah.
I thought I had seen poverty, here, but you go there.
Yeah.
It's completely different. Yeah. She's kind of like, I think God's telling me something. You're not supposed to be a cop. Like, just knock it off. Like, let's go do something different. Then you got to listen. It's not going to push the issue on something that maybe it's not for you. All right. And then I think where I finally gained their respect was, we were doing, just an ass competition, so just assemble, and I smoked every single one of them. They couldn't beat me. And they were like, oh. So we kind of started hanging out and talking after that.
Hey, welcome to the Mastering the Military Transition series of the Prize Podcast. My name is PJ, and I'll be your host. The purpose of this podcast is to share the stories of those who have successfully transitioned out of the military so you can see the tips and tricks necessary to have a successful transition of your own. That way you don't have to stumble across some of the same things that myself and my team at Prize had to struggle with. At Prize, we believe in a world where all enjoy the freedom to grow. That's why we're developing the Prize app. If you'd like to learn more, please check out the prize.vet link in the show notes below. Hey fam, welcome to another installation of the Mastering the Military Transition series of the Prize Podcast. Today we have Joshua Zabler with us. We're going to call him Josh for the show today. Was in the Marine Corps from 2005 to 2010, got out as a sergeant. Was 0311, was with 3rd Platoon, 1st Fast Company, and, you're saying that 3 times fast, and 3rd Battalion, 2nd Marines, did 4 deployments in 5 years, which is a lot, man. And then has a bachelor's and master's in psychology, which I'm really excited to dive into. And then you've been with the Vets for Warriors, for almost the past 7 years. I would actually love if we could rewind quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I would love to hear about, what was your journey getting into the military? Like, where were you in time and space? How was it growing up?
That's actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
So growing up, my dad was a Navy guy, I think 8 years. Didn't talk about it a whole lot, didn't enjoy his time. My mom and him split when I was younger. Sad story there. Working and everything, we were in a trailer. Dad did night shift, mom did day shift. Mom left, dad came home sick on the couch with my brother and I were right there. I was about 3, he was 18 months old. So also my fire started, ended up passing away. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. It's actually your brother. Yeah, wow. So I have his tattoo right here, Anthony. So I was 3, I was about 18 months old. After that, mom and dad kind of just couldn't make it work, so they split. Went with dad to Wisconsin, and that's where my mom and dad are from. And then mom stayed out in Florida, and I mean my stepdad happened to be a Marine. My great uncle was a Marine. He's actually featured in the Leather Neck magazine. He flew over Japan during World War II, taking aerial pictures and stuff. So just an article about what he would fly and take pictures and do all sorts of stuff. But so grew up around the military, and then I actually remember vividly as 6 years old, my mom and I going to the commissary in Parris Island. I didn't realize it was Parris Island at the time, and I remember I see these guys march around, and I'm like, that's so cool. My stepdad, came home. He did the old tricolor canes with the starch and the crest. But so it was cool to see him every day. He came home and my mom's in there ironing his uniform, and I just thought it was the coolest thing. And then fast forward, and was gonna go play football and do this after high school, and the offers that I thought I would have gotten didn't get, and ended up kind of just I don't really want to go play football in D3.
Right.
So went from Wisconsin down to Florida, and ended up kind of moving there with my mom, my stepdad, and then trying school, and just was driving around one day, skipping class, and saw a recruiting office. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go talk to him. And I think it was 6 days later, I was on the yellow footprints. Wow. Just like that. Boom. My stepbrother, he was in Fast Company, but he was in Rota, Spain. So I got him to follow him. Of course, he was like, dude, he's awesome. We're great. I band as a super, I didn't look anything into it. I was just like, I'm going to go do it. And went and talked to him, told him what I wanted to do. And then my stepdad happened to be, I think he was working for Best Buy at the time, but he's out in Dallas and in Texas, opening up a store.
Yeah.
And he's talking to my mom, and he's like, He's like, you need to tell him not to, he's going to be gone before you know it. He's like, tell him, like, don't sign anything, don't do anything, and he'd be out the door. And sure enough, he came back. He sat me down. He's E8. I think he actually retired at E9. Never got pinned. So his retirement at the E9 rate, but he never got pinned. Right, that sort of thing, but just like the gunny. He sat me down. He's like, I love the Marine Corps. He's like, but join the Air Force. He gets the best at everything. My stepdad said the same thing. Because show you guys there if you were stage. Yeah. It's like, you'll have the best setup for a job. And I was like, already, I'm going. And yeah, so I was like, I think it was like, by the time I started talking to him, I did message everything. And 6 days later, I was in Paris Island, like ready to go.
Yeah.
And then, the rest was history.
And the rest is history. Yeah, man. So how did her mom take that?
I think she was upset, she still has my recruiter's card that he handed to her when he took me, because we met, this is on from school. We met at the Blue Angel Parkway Walmart.
Yeah.
I knew exactly what it is. Yeah, so I got into his car and she dropped me off and he's like, here you go, if you need anything, and walked away. She kind of just knew what was going to happen. So she'd be okay with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously didn't want to see me go, but.
Right. Yeah. So, okay. So you get in, and did you say like, no, I want infantry? Like, that's what I want?
No. So I went in and I was like, I want to do this fast company thing. I was talking about it. And yeah, I think I got, the trick, presidential security, like, oh, you're going to look hard at the president. You're going to be on TV. You're going to be on Air Force One. You're going to be doing this. I remember doing pull-ups and they're like, talking up, you're going to be guarding the president, right? I don't even think I got screened for it. Like,
really?
Yeah, I had other guys that I was at base and going boot camp with, and I think they have a full interview to go do that.
Oh, interesting.
And never once, no one talked to me, no anything. So I was at boot camp under the impression that I'd be going presidential security and DC barracks and this, that, and the other, and it was never even an option, apparently. So I got, I didn't know fast company was an infantry thing. So I never even considered that. I thought security, I thought this. My opinion, I think it was kind of a way to boost up those numbers, right?
No, absolutely.
Slide over. Yeah. That didn't bother me. I had a lot of fun. I got to do a lot of cool stuff. So
right.
It wasn't my intention, but it was. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Got it.
Yeah.
So what, you went to like MCT and then they were like...
I went to SOI, TB, SOI. Okay, yeah. So I did that little thing. And then from there, if you're going fast company, you go up to Chesapeake, Virginia. What's it called? The Northwest Annex. That's this tiny little place out in Chesapeake, Virginia. Just nothing's there. And you go through BSG, Basic Security Guard. You just learn basic security operations, checkpoints, and physical security, internal security, things like that. And then OC sprayed, all that fun stuff. And then did that. And then you get served your orders. I went to fast company. I had guys go, I think it's called PCP. There's a chop platoon, right? Not fast, but maybe it's right. I know it is a pork chop. Sure, you're right. You're absolutely right. Maybe you misremember, but I think you go to, there's a place in Stone Bay, Georgia. It's right outside Jacksonville, north of Jacksonville, Florida. In Georgia, a little naval base. And then there's one in Washington where you guard, I guess, like nuclear material. So they're doing
oh, okay.
You're the force and running is there, hanging out. So a really good friend of mine, we got really, really close through ITB and BSG. He went down to Georgia. He got heavily involved with CQB and all that. So he was top notch, doing classes, courses, this, that, and the other. And
cool.
Do a lot of cool stuff down there. And fast company.
And you were attached to a Scout Sniper Platoon, right?
When I got to 3-2, yeah. I mean, so I did fast company. I know third platoon, first fast company. We also call the 1F3. And so first fast, third platoon makes it faster. So fleet anti-terrorism security team.
That was the also.
Yeah. Absolutely. Also known as, we call it the fake ass SEAL team. Cause you do a lot of cools, right. Coming out of helicopters and doing this and that, but at the end of the day, you're fast company. And then when you go to an actual unit like 3-2, those guys are the infantry guys and they don't really respect you at all.
Oh, really?
I think what happens is you go from fast company to the fleet, and you're not going on combat deployments. And then Tristan doing the same thing. So they're kind of looking at you as like this, like you come in as a corporal and you come in as a sergeant, and these guys are terminal lances because they just can't get ahead. Whereas I think with
Training Force runs the experience that they do.
yeah. So, but and there's just a lot of guys from what I've seen that are kind of like tools. Like you really don't. Your leadership is going to dictate how you are in fast company. And I had Captain Luck, the Staff Sergeant Commanders were amazing. They were all about training and doing this and doing that.
Nice.
And so our platoon compared to other platoons were just like nonstop classes and in the field doing this, doing that. They were there to make sure like we knew what we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
They did a really good job.
That's awesome.
So when I went to the fleet, I actually had a really hard time integrating. I remember the guy I was standing for a squad there because he took over as platoon sergeant because they were waiting for someone to come in. I had my squad lined up. I'm like, all right, let's go for a morning run. It's like my first or second day there. Take off for a run. And then I think I waited like 30 seconds. I looked back and there's like 3 people with me. Everyone else had bailed and left. Went back to the barracks room.
Oh, really?
You got to get test there. Tested me as an NCO. Tested me as a guy who hasn't been there before. I didn't deploy with them. I don't know any of them. So they really kind of tested me as an NCO. They kind of put them in place and do this and do that. And then I think where I finally gained their respect was we were doing a dis-and-ask competition. So disassemble. And I smoked every single one of them. They couldn't, like I was with the saw real quick. They couldn't beat me. And they were like, oh. And so they kind of started hanging out and talking after that. And everything went well, and what ended up happening, how I got to the Scout Sniper Platoon, I guess there was like some leadership issues and some weird things going on, hazing, whatever else. So battalion was kind of like, we need NCOs there.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was like, I'll do it. Went in, interviewed with battalion Mezzo, platoon commander, and I forget someone else is there in the room. Did like an hour-long interview with them, and then walked away, and then got my name called, so they would head over there and do that.
Right. And okay, so you said you had a really good leader at Fast Company, yeah, which, I mean, like, how do I put this politically correct?
Yeah.
There's some great leadership in the Marine Corps. There's some like terrible leadership in the Marine.
I were both. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious to know like what some of the takeaways you got from that leadership. Like the good leadership.
A good one was always be prepared. Like you are a professional.
It says Marine Corps, not Boy Scouts.
Yeah. Yeah. You're a professional. Is be the best you can possibly be, and at the end of the day, if fast company, and I'm not sure if everyone even understands what the role. It might have even changed now, but
why don't you break it down?
So we've got different embassies all throughout the world, and then the way it was explained to me was, you got MSG Marines there. Yeah, they're there for security reasons, taking care of the place. If anything happens, they kind of divert and focus on internal security, where they kind of leave the external. They don't have enough manpower to kind of cover the external. So that's when the fast company platoon is going to be in theater to move over. So prime example, I'm in Yokosuka, Japan, 2006, 2007, Myanmar, Burma. I don't know what you.
Yeah, that's sure.
Riots were going off in the streets. I think monks were like burning themselves alive. There's a lot of stuff going on, and we actually had our bags packed outside the door, ready to go. Do things like riot control, and then basically take over the external security for the MSG guys. And that was really what I understood our job was to be, is just kind of security if we need. And so like with the Carl Benson, there's a refuel, defuel. They take the spent nuclear cells out, they put new nuclear cells in, kind of working in conjunction with the Department of Energy to get that nuclear material secured and ordered. No one comes for it and takes it, that sort of thing. And then we got it in, and then we're there just watching the ship, watching personnel and everything. But yeah, it's mainly just security. So
Got it.
Bucks and Cesar Hernandez were just kind of like, handle your business and then you go out and kind of do whatever you want kind of thing. So big on training and being ready. So, and then getting us prepared for the fleet. So Captain Buck was a Mustang, so we started and guided. Yeah, he always told me, told us actually, is if he got to a point where He couldn't directly lead Marines. He was done. And I follow him on Facebook. I'm pretty sure he's retired. Got to major and he was like, I'm out. I'm telling you, I can't directly unite you with my Marines. And I get it. Yeah. So, but it was just, it was really neat. That man was brilliant. Knew anything, everything. Remember one time, they didn't have a whole lot of confidence in me at first. And so, they shoved me into what they called the COC, Command Operations Center. Sure. And, we were doing one, place in Virginia called Lorden Prison. That's in Vanin Prison, but you can kind of use the buildings and use the whole property. We were doing our mock-up to get ready to deploy. And, I remember something happened. They were going to do, another platoon was there to do like an assault, and there's just stuff going on the radio, and he eventually just gave me the radio, and the boom. He was like working 3 different radios, calling in, mock air support and said, right. You're kind of sitting back and watch him like do different things. Like, whoa. As we, he's an operator, knows what he's doing. And, that's what he's trying to instill in us is just, you want to be prepared for when the thing actually happens. Right. So a lot of times people sit back and I think they kind of like think about the situation, think about what's going to happen, but never actually prepare themselves for it backward. So you want to make sure that, when the stuff hits a fan, we were in just divert to muscle memory, you know exactly what to do. And the muscle memory thing, I think it's funny. I tell my kids all the time, there's one particular week where, he took the whole week just to prove a point. He's just like literally like, he's like, boom, we're not doing anything. Monday morning, we check out our rifles. And we just did, presentation drills. So you're sitting here, alert, ready, right, ready. Mm-hmm. And then, left face, 45 and 90 degree turn, whatever, boom. And then alert, ready. So we're just doing like pivot drills, facing drills. I think we did it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday out. And then Friday, he let us put the blue barrels on for the sim rounds. Right. And he was basically like, we got 25 meters out and he wanted us to put a blindfold on. And we did a 180 degree pivot, brought it up, shot, overall blindfold. And I'm pretty sure all of us were just hitting right at the T box and right, because we just spent all week like boom, 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 boom. He's like, you got to do something like 1,000 times to make it a habit. You got to do something more than thousands of times to make it muscle memory. Yeah. And there's so many times where something's going to happen, something's going to pop off, and where your train is where you're going to divert back to. And if it's not here, down here. And if you're not there and stuff pops off, like you're in trouble.
Dude, I love that. So do you like, you play football, right?
Yeah.
You ever read The Score Takes Care of Itself?
I haven't read that, no.
Do you know the book I'm talking about, though? I think Bill Walsh.
No.
So he was the coach, obviously, the 49ers, the whole thing. His whole thing was like, focus on the basics.
Yeah.
Running drills. I want you to go 29 yards, not 29 yards and 6 inches.
29 easy.
Right, exactly, right? And he was so big on that. And like, and at first, people thought he was crazy and all this stuff. But again, like, they had basics.
Yeah.
They were boom, right? They had it all nailed down. And I look at people like Steph Curry, who like, dude practices, I think it's like 1,000, 3-point shots a day or 500, whatever it is. But like, you watch the guy, man, dude, 3-point, turns around, walks off, but it's like, doesn't even look.
And then there's so much energy saved not having to think about things like that. Yeah. I think maybe that's probably when I say be prepared, you're like Boy Scout. But yeah, that's what he was trying to say was that, and then no matter what, like you are going to get, Mike Tyson's like, hit the mouth. Well, that's right. That's right. What are you going to look like? What's it going to look like? And I mean, even now, like there's times where, a couple of years ago, driving in New York City with my wife and the kids, and someone opened the door and just crushes the side of our car. And it was just like, I just went in immediately, like pulled over, did this, did that. Cops were here, boom. I had it within like 5 minutes. My wife was like, still like kind of frazzled. And I'm like, but that's what was kind of instilled. Yeah. But he was like, when something happens, like, take care of your business.
That's right. And it's almost action mode.
Yeah.
And you're building in a space too. I do think, and I talked to my son about this too, of like, I think having that train to fall back on is important. And I think this comes down to like habits and stuff too. Like a lot of us have habits that we built in and probably done thousands and thousands of times, but it wasn't deliberate.
Yeah.
So they're acting a lot of times on like autopilot. And I'll say like my kids, they turn autopilot off, because it's actually hurting rather than helping.
Yeah.
But the deliberate training of like, this is what we're doing. Let's do it 1,000 times, 500, whatever it is, day. And now it's second nature, which needs to be.
Yeah.
that deliberate building of habits is so vital.
And so vital. It's nice. To me, if it frees up so much more to go out and build upon it, yes, become better at it. And yeah, to kind of open up your repertoire and learn different things, because now you don't devote energy and time to this one little thing that just happened automatically.
That's right. Okay, so you, all right, so you got it. No wonder you schooled them now with like taking apart, putting back together the song, the diss acid, I guess you called it. That's cool. And all right, so you were with the Scout Sniper Platoon at that point, right? So like, what was that like?
That was it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And so I remember SOI, I had the book. What, I don't even know if it's a book anymore, but there's a bunch of short stories about different snipers. And in that book was, Carlos Hadcock, and yeah, some cool.
It was a one shot, one kill.
Yeah, that was the story. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's got a bunch of different stories. He got the one about the woman who had the guy who was torturing him. We got the wife other thing where he's like chasing another sniper and he's doing different things. He's the one where he's going to I think assassinate a major. He's like crawling through the field. He's there for a few days. Like, so that book had a bunch of different stories from Vietnam all the way to OEF and OI.
Was it all Carlos?
No, it's just different stories.
I think we're talking about one shot, one kill.
I think that maybe it's a good book. Yeah, a whole bunch of different stories. And I thought it was the coolest thing. And then I get to
the one he shot through the scope of the
yeah, and then you watch was it Tom Berenger, that what it is in the Sniper movies?
I don't know that I saw that.
The older movies. I think it's called Sniper. Sniper 1, Sniper 2, Sniper 3. I'm not I saw it. I think it's Tom Berenger. I think it's Sniper 3. He literally takes a pistol and from this roof down here and shoots up here and hits the scope. Does the scope through the eyes? Like, come on, dude.
Yeah, right.
9mm. I was like, that is wild. But I just thought, it was the coolest thing. And then I get there, and then I'm learning more. It's more about observation and gathering intelligence and scout. Yeah, that's the primary function. It is not to shoot. It's not to be for coaching, absolutely. But a lot of what we did and what we prepared for was getting information so that the force that was coming in, new building sizes, doorways, windows, if we can anticipate the movements within the unit that we are going to be assaulting, if we could figure out hierarchy, who's here, who's there, what guard changes look like, things like that, so that we could provide as much to that force that they could have a plane going in and not kind of be blindsided. Sure. But it was really interesting. Got to do a lot of different stuff. Got to kind of plug in with like Recon Platoon as well.
Very cool.
Do some cool stuff with them.
Those dudes are badass.
Yeah, it was really cool. Yeah, so we got to do a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah, the guy I had on last time. He was a 2111.
Okay.
Small weapons. I guess maintainer.
Right.
And he was talking about like he was like, yeah, man, you probably has dealt with us before. I told him we were going to have you on next. That's cool, man. So did you deploy with them at all?
Yeah. So that's when, I did my 2 deployments was the stateside was, with Fast Company. So we did the refuel, defuel in, Newport News. And then I went to Yokosuka, Japan. Got to go to Guam, got to go to Crown. I had great places. Yeah. My, Stats Hernandez was like, so when we actually got there, we split. So the second squad and third squad stayed in Japan. And then first squad went on a boat down to the Philippines, and they were doing a lot of the, I guess you call it anti-piracy, but there's a lot of terrorism within the Philippines and islands and everything down there where they'll go to the Highland Islands. So they were there as a force, as a readiness to kind of stop whatever was going on between those islands, because I guess you can kind of hop, skip, and move around very easily. So then when I got to Free 2, we were slated to go to Afghanistan, and then that changed. Then we got pegged for the 22nd MEU, and then I think we were still going to go to Afghanistan, and then that changed because the Horn of Africa, off Somalia, there's all that stuff going there. So we went down there and have the, I guess you'd call it anti-piracy operation, but we were there to basically stop, like if someone's trying to take over a ship or sure, be there for that. And then I want to say that's when swine flu hit, and we actually got like stuck out at the boat for a very long time. We couldn't do anything.
How was morale?
It was, we actually had like a birthing wiped out, and then they pulled, it was quarantine, you got shoved into this like birthing if you started showing symptoms, like so like you couldn't go in there. Yeah. I didn't get put in there.
Right.
Yeah, you weren't allowed to leave. They brought you food, you eat boxed lunches and stuff. I was like, oh my gosh. But then, we kind of were figuring out what to do, mainly just in the area as, being ready. We dropped the ospreys off, I think in Pakistan, they flew in Afghanistan. I think that was the first time ospreys actually made it in the country. That's what we were told. Maybe to feel special. I don't know. Yeah. And then we went to Kuwait, cause our sergeant major was like, I don't want to be on a boat this whole time. We went to Kuwait, spent like a month there, just doing different ranges and training and everything. And then from that, I think I went through the Suez Canal like 4 or 5 times. We helped train Jordanian military, helped train Egyptians. We worked with the Greeks, and she shot like basically shooting technical briefings. And I remember being in Greece, and the hills there are just wild. But we're trying to teach them how to shoot elevation, shoot from hill to hill, and everything. And it's just hot. This is amazing how hot Greece can get. But after that, came home, and then I thought everything was done. And then the earthquake in Haiti happened. Mm-hmm. And you're like, well, because the 22nd knew that, I forget who was coming in after us, they weren't ready yet. So we were sitting there and like, you haven't really disbanded yet. So packing bags are gone. So we went down. We were part of Operation Unified Response. Yeah. Doing all the handing out food and everything.
That's cool. That's probably a really meaningful mission too.
It was really eye-opening. I guess I thought I had seen poverty, here, but you go there. Yeah, it's completely different. And just a lot of horrific things that people didn't seem to care about. Kids, it was horrible if you wanted to give the kids food, but then like if you gave the one kid food, then all kids wanted food, and then that kid ran away, and those kids wanted to beat him off and took it, and it was like, so we, I kept my little drop powder tray here, and I'd have crackers and stuff, and we learned really quickly to not do that. Had to stop a guy from what I thought he was going to assault a little girl. He was like pulling her, and some people kind of looked at like disgruntled, and I said something, and another buddy of mine said something, and we had to like separate the two of them, and we didn't know what would happen. One morning we woke up, and there's like a dead body in the river, and he was upriver, so like people are down there filling up buckets of water, and I was just like, boo. So it's like, I don't know, I don't want to speak for that, but an education thing of just understanding that's probably not the healthiest thing. So it just like perpetuates the disease and everything's down there. Yeah, and there's nothing really clean. Kids are just, they got one shirt, one pair of shorts, like that's it. We say the woman who, something happened, I forget exactly, I don't remember the story, but she had a really bad infection, and thing was like in her breast, and they had like a tent with sticks, and we went in, and I couldn't even get. It was almost like one big tent, and then like a little room where she was secluded. I couldn't physically get into the next spot because of the smell is so bad. Her reaction was like horrible. There was flies all over the place. Our corner went in there, and he came out, and he was just white, like, oh my gosh. He was like trying to, I guess, keep her going until we get, someone to help. And then eventually we just got her over the ship. And I think the BAS was above the chow hall. And the story we heard is like this smell of her coming down while people were eating. Oof, she was sort of thrown up, and had to like lock the doors and everything. But so we got to help her out. She's survived. Wow, that's a good thing. And man, what do you imagine? It was, yeah.
Well, it's not just, you don't need to imagine.
No, it's always interesting. Yeah.
That's, okay. I mean, it's cool that you got to do that though. So, all right, you came back from that, and then were you like, all right, cool, I'm done?
So no, I wanted to stay in. I had every intention of making a career in doing the 20 years. Mm-hmm. And then, I guess the big recruiting push. So, Marine Corps typically operates around like 100 to 120,000 active duty, somewhere in there. I think it swelled up to like 170, 180,000. So they're trying to get the numbers down. Right. And don't forget, no. So yeah. So, at that point they were kind of like, lap moves were shut down completely. So I had an awkward 5-year contract. You want me to like a 4-year? I'm right into 5-year. So I actually had gone in a year early to try and re-enlist, and I was going to go down to Paris Island and work as I guess support personnel there, doing stuff on the ranges and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then when the guy kind of ran by stuff, he's like, "You're not right. Yeah, you got a whole another year to go." I'm like, okay. And then like came like all my time, all those opportunities are gone, and they were kind of like, if you stay where you're at, if you're trying to go do something else, you can go counter intel, or I think it was topography, like making maps.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
Like that. Yeah, I didn't know there isn't. Yeah, I didn't either. And I know that I was like at the time married my first wife, and my son was born, and I was like, I don't want to go counter intel because I feel like the whole point is I want to be there for them, and I think that would further remove me.
Yeah.
I was already the field Monday through Friday and deploying and doing this and doing that. I was like, I no, and I didn't want to stay in infantry. I wanted something different, and so I decided to get out.
Got it. Well, that's a big departure.
Yeah.
Literally. Okay. So you got out and then you were like, now what?
Yeah, really, because I hadn't given any thought. Because my thought was, yeah, I'm there, and I had a buddy of mine who was like, I'm doing Troops to Roughneck. I'm looking forward to that. Troops to Roughneck or Troops to Roughneck? So Roughneck is something that works on the oil rig.
Oh yeah.
So they got Troops of Teachers, and they got different programs where you can kind of, as you're getting out or once you get out, they get you set up to go get a job.
Okay, cool point.
And I was like, yeah, I get this job. I work with 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. I started like $90,000 a year, and I was like, heck yeah, let's go do that. So I went to that whole training. It free course and everything, and then got in with the company that I wanted to get in with, and I was like, this is what I wanted at all. This is crazy. This work is nuts. I remember we call them tours, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, but I think there was like a 3-day period where I spent 12.5-hour days every day for those 3 period tripping pipe to just pulling pipe out. So because the bit was getting eaten up and swapping that out and putting everything right back down just to find out it ended either if we ended up pulling all in. I mean, thousands and thousands and thousands of feet of pipe to pulling it out, putting it back in, pulling it out, putting it back. Oof. And again, I was like, I don't know what I want. I'm going to go want this. Yeah. So, went off leave or something else.
Yeah. I mean, so how did you get into like psychology?
If we fast forward, so I decided once I left Mack drilling, I wanted to go to school. Didn't know what I wanted to go to school for, but I wanted to go to school. But right, GI Bill.
Yeah.
Started doing that. I was working at Lowe's at the time, so I was part-time lumber and building materials, and then full-time student. And that's kind of over that time period is when my relationship with my ex-wife kind of deteriorated, and in kind of an effort to just change scenery and maybe make it work, I ended up moving to Jersey. I had a buddy of mine who was going to be a cop there, and that was what I was always going to do, would be a cop.
Okay.
But I couldn't ever pass the line detector test, because they would ask certain questions, right? Sure. And one of the ones that they would ask and it sounds bad, but when you hear it, have you taken prescription medication that's not yours? Okay. So I took an 800 milligram Motrin.
Right.
I'm sitting in the back of my mind, and I'm like, I'm going to tell them. And then so like, I always kind of like would just tell them anything and everything. And sometimes they were like, you're telling us a little too much. I don't know. It just felt weird. Like I was just like, but I got to be honest with you.
You're right. This is the line inspector.
Yeah, like, so like, I got to tell you guys the truth. And it was really kind of like, I think one door after another kind of closed, because just like silly things like that. Like I ended up I went for the North Carolina State Highway Patrol. And through my ex-wife's dad, he had like a friend that was pretty high up in the law enforcement down in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And he knew what was going on. He didn't tell me anything until afterwards, but I went up, tested, did everything. It looked great, did awesome. And then they were never planning on having a class that year. There was a budget thing going on, but they had to like run through the cycle so that these guys still had a reason to have a job. Or the way he'd explained it to me, but they had never had any intention of hiring anyone for that cohort or class. But
Interesting.
so there's like little things like that where it's like, all right,
Tiny was
yeah. And fast forward, I met my current wife, and she was kind of like, I think God's telling you something. You're not supposed to be a cop. Just knock it off. Like, let's go do something different. Then you got to listen. It's not going to push the issue on something that maybe it's not for you. All right. The only interest I had in psychology was my son was and is autistic, high functioning, but just to understand it better. And sure, I was kind of like, your fastest path to a degree is go psychology, and then you can kind of go be like a teacher and do different things. I was like, all right. So then I was kind of like, let's do it. Started studying psychology, learned more about it, and then really fell in love with it. And it just went from there, to be honest. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's kind of her guided me that way.
That's cool. And if we look back to like, so how many years had elapsed by like when you got out and then you stumbled into that?
So I got out 2010, November 2010. I think I started school the 2011 would have been the next. So August 2011 is when I started school. And then I think we were talking in Atlanta, I had changed majors so many times and my counselor was like, enough. Like, you gotta stop. Like, you're looking at finance, looking at economics, you're looking at this, looking at that, like criminal justice. Like, what are you doing? And I was like, I don't know. I really don't know yet. And then psychology happened. So that was in 2013, 2014, so a few years, yeah.
So a few years. Where were you between the ears at that time, especially like having got out of military and not really kind of what you wanted to do? Sounds like, you like took that path.
I was okay. I just didn't know. Again, I think we get target on land. It's kind of being told what to do. Right. It's kind of what I was used to. And then never really, I guess, had an opportunity to develop any interest outside of the military. And I always had it in my mind that, I'm going to be a gunfighter, maybe, an infantry guy, I'm going to go do this. The military does a good job of kind of getting you really heavily indoctrinated with what you're doing.
Yes.
And
they issue a purpose and an identity.
Yeah, it was awesome. So to go out and try to find that on my own, hadn't really done that yet and hadn't really thought about it yet. And I think I learned later on was kind of to stop fighting the resistance and kind of go with where the path is taking you, because I'm a big Christian guy, and I believe that God's going to put you where he needs you and where you do best. And you might not like it at that moment, and might be the season you're in, but if you kind of follow that path, you're going to go the way you need to, kind of thing. And I ended up figuring out that with psychology, there were certain people that I could help, and I wanted to help. So I was like, all right, I'm going to put all my chips into this and go do it.
Yeah. Well, I asked because, like, I think there's probably a lot of people that have been in that shoes where this is not the plan that I had originally gone in with. And to the point that you had of like identity and purpose is now gone. And there's floundering, like, and potentially even some depression, anxiety, whatever, right? But I mean, at least as far as I've known you, not that it's been that long, but like, you seem like a really, really chill guy. But I'm curious, like, how did that happen? You would have been like,
I've always been very laid back like that. To the point I remember at boot camp, before I got picked up with my platoon, you get there and you have like a day or two where like you don't get to meet your drill instructors yet, and then I remember they come in to give you an awesome speech, and all of a sudden, right, yeah. Before that, you're with your like I don't know what you call him, but he's kind of showing you how to march, he's showing you where to go, and and I was in a classroom and handing you something, and I just stayed up and I was like, recruit Zabler, and like, oh, he's just chill on the block. Like, I didn't scream what they wanted to, so it's always been like been very like laid back kind of thing, but full disclosure, I have anxiety and I suffer from depression, and those are things that like I deal with pretty regularly, to be completely honest, even to this day. Yeah, and so it's always been that way. But always been very, I guess, like laid back and quiet, and my family's always made fun of me because, you know, they'd be like, "Oh, they made many words," because I just wouldn't talk a lot short, which I think is what led me to counseling. You do a lot of listening, but definitely have my bouts of getting worked up, and I have my highs and my lows. My lows are not good, for sure. Yeah. So,
well, I guess what I'm trying to tease out is like, what's your guiding philosophy? Like, what has helped you? I know you mentioned a little bit, like, I am where God, put me, but like, one, I'm curious to like know how what your coping has been, and then how you've learned it.
So I think, if we back up, I grew up in I call it a caregiver family. I saw my dad and my stepmom, worked at nursing homes a lot, and a lot of older people, and were always around helping people. And I didn't realize it when I was younger, but as I've gotten older, I've realized there's a joy in kind of pouring yourself in other people's short amount. I sort of think that there's people that have a capacity to do that, and to help out other people. And I think that's kind of what you're here for. And so I saw my stepmom and my dad again, helping out just old people. And then, of course, by extension, they'd be like, "I need you to come help too." So there's a lot of times where I was volunteering and doing things. And I found joy in that. And as I got older, I thought I wanted this, and I thought I wanted that. I always wanted to be a cop. I always wanted to be a Marine. And at the core, I was always in a position to help somebody else do something, whether it be helping them move, or just helping them talk something out, or helping teach something. But I always wanted to be able to just help other people. And in terms of my own coping with anxiety and depression and everything, I never liked the idea of having to take anything. So pills are always understood off. I think through friends, whenever else, and like try the Xanax here or whatever there, and it was just like, I don't feel the same.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like this. Yeah. But what has kept me kind of even keel is if I stay active, I watch when I'm eating, things like that. And then I don't know how it is for other people, but substances could definitely kind of play a thing. So the big thing is everyone kind of goes out and drinks and does this and does that. I noticed drinking does affect me a lot more. I can feel that low almost. But often I know alcohol is a depressant. So I don't, 100% avoid it, but it's just something that's not a priority in my life. Sure. So I try to make sure that I know that when I'm getting adequate sleep and I'm eating right and I'm staying active in terms of fitness and things like that. If I keep those things in line, like everything kind of just falls in place after that. Mm-hmm. If I kind of let one thing go, well, then like the next thing goes and the next thing goes, and then it kind of tumbles and kind of gets out of control.
Yeah. I was talking to a buddy about that this morning of like, the phrase of like, whoever's the most consistent wins.
Yeah.
And, I think that we talked about habits, right?
Yeah.
I think you're totally right. Like for me, I have a very set of things that I do in the morning.
Yeah.
And I know that if I don't, it's interesting because I won't even notice necessarily how it's infecting me a lot of times until like the next day. Yeah. And then I'll like meditate or whatever I'm doing. And I'm like, oh yeah, I was kind of,
Yeah.
But it's interesting because, and maybe you've gotten to the field because you wanted to learn some of this for yourself. I don't know. But I think that it would be really helpful if we were taught these sort of things in a lot of ways. Like, I think that the military, like while we're in the military, we're taught discipline.
Yeah.
Which is great. It's a great starting point.
Yep.
But discipline in what?
Yeah.
Right.
It's to that point, and to kind of expand that, it's again, my son is autistic ADHD, and my other son is ADHD to a T, like what? But we with the medication, we are always like, we can do that, but it's not like it's like putting your sunglasses on. It's not going to solve the problem. It's going to help you. Well, let's help you know what to focus on, where to put your attention, and how to do that. And so kind of to that point is discipline. Yeah, but in what and how and what does that look like? And it's been interesting. I think I figured it out as I get older, right? But I've noticed that it doesn't creep up like right away. Things can kind of just very all right here, but there, kind of derail you. And I think it's easy to be like, oh, I'm screwed, I fell off, I'm done. Yeah. Things can get into our head a lot and start having these negative talks. And I think that's where people get stuck, is they're not talking to somebody regularly. Sure. And I think, especially one of the best warriors, what we've seen, what I've seen is people don't want to be a burden to the ones they love. Absolutely. Yeah. And when you are going through it, and it seems like it's all you think about, it's all you talk about, it's also you're a burden to this person, or you're branching to your family or your friends, and you're like, well, I don't want to bring this to them. I'm always bringing that to them. Mm-hmm. So who can I turn to? And if you don't have anybody, that's when I think you can kind of slip and get into some bad stuff.
Yeah, for sure. If you ever read the book, I'm sorry, I love reading, so I reference a lot of books. We've talked about it on the show before, but like The Speed of Trust.
I haven't know.
So you've read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, as Stephen Covey. Yeah. So his son wrote a book called The Speed of Trust. And it's cool to see because he actually references some of the same stories you're hearing the other side of. That was pretty interesting. But one of the things he talks about there is like, we have to build trust with ourselves. And if we don't, it actually tends to bleed into like almost everything. Yeah. And I think that's what you're kind of alluding to here, where it's like, if I rationalize, in the morning that maybe I'm not going to get up this morning to work out because I'm tired. Right. Well, then that bleeds into like, oh, I have a project at work and it's due today, but you know what? It's okay if it goes tomorrow. Yeah. Like and it's so slippery and so insidious that it kind of builds on itself. And it's that mental habit, where again, if what is most consistent wins here, catching yourself and be like, no, whoop. JJ did tie buckle, right? What's one of those? Integrity. Yeah. Right? Like, sorry, for those who don't know, JJ did tie buckle. Look it up. It's the Marine Corps values. But anyway, I think that integrity with ourselves is so, so important. And if you want to be someone who delivers value or gets over like struggle of like anxiety, depression, that sort of thing, these foundations and these habits that we can build in are like protection. Yeah. Like I refer to my morning routine as like my defensive measures. Yeah. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because like, if I don't do those, man, like it's seriously for real, like I'll be at a day, dude, I got back last Wednesday, from Atlanta. Right. And like, I will admit that this has taken me a long time to get here, but I had a point where like, I realized I was in a bad mood. And I was able to then ask myself, like, okay, why are you in a bad mood? And how can I now overcome it? And it's actually why I got this tattoo, right? To like be able to like, look, this is what I resonate with, right? Yeah. But man, it took me probably 5-6 years to get there, to a point where I'm catching it in the moment. Instead of like, a week later or a month later or something like that. I'm like, oh man, I've been kind of a jerk recently. Yeah.
Oh, and I think same here. And it's not easy. I think I still mess up all the time. Yeah. You get up all right. Yeah. And it's funny. And I was thinking about it because, I love her death. My wife is the one who'll be like, I see the look and I'm like, or she'll like say something or do something. And I don't know if you've watched Ted Lasso, but sure. Yeah. I resonate with Roy Kent, this fact that there's so many times in that show where he's like told something and he's like, he believes there's one thing. He's like told something and you'll see him be like, because he knows like it's not what he wants to do, it's not what he's feeling, but he knows it's the right thing. And there are many times where that happens to me where I'm like, oh, you're right, okay. And then I think I get out of my own way. I think it's like mad and mad or sad or whatever it may be, and it's like kind of catching myself like, wait, hold on, there's some things, there's other things coming into play here.
Yeah. So you were mentioning that you still struggle with anxiety and depression. How did those two tie together? Are you able to like pull yourself up after like these bouts or?
Yeah. I really feel like I just came out of one, like, what happens to me is just life happens and I start thinking, I overthink things a lot. Sure. And whenever, it'll affect my sleep. That's the first thing I notice is if I don't have plans to get things done or whatever, things kind of stack up, or if I'm unprepared for something that comes in out of nowhere, I can kind of feel that physiological effect where, temperature rising, the heartbeat's kind of going and breathing. If I can calm myself down and think it through and get a plan going, then I feel fine. But there's times where I'm just busy and everything else. And then the first thing I notice when my sleep gets affected.
Yeah.
And then once my sleep gets affected, I feel like that just kind of spiraled in me. I don't have the energy to go work out, which I need to go do, because that's kind of like where I pride myself for the day, get my focus in and everything else. So it's and I really think that, especially in men, like anxiety and depression, almost one of the exact same, the way they manifest genre. It's kind of like I think it was Jocko. He was saying just like, it doesn't matter, just do it. Like, just do it. And I was like, it's that simple. It is that simple. There's so many times where I'm in a mood or Nike, we love that. Yeah, he's like,
but it's so good. Oh my God, it's so true. Yeah, that's so true. So you only gotta do anything, so just do it.
Yeah. And so this time where I'm like, I don't want to work out, but I'm like, if I go, I'm going to feel better. I know I'm going to feel better. And despite everything, I just want to hang out and do nothing or whatever. I'm like, I gotta go do this. I gotta get outside. I gotta breathe fresh air. I gotta get my heart rate up. I gotta sweat. And once that that levels me out, I guess, and gets that going. I think so. That probably helps with sleep too. Yeah, exactly. So then I can get caught up in sleep again. I start feeling better. And it's almost like stacking like little wins. So, and then being nice to myself, really.
Yeah, man.
And I
go. Interestingly enough, I think that a lot of us think that it's, and we grow up with this, right? That inner voice, which a lot of us is gifted to us from our parents. So thank you, mom and dad. But like it is actually more challenging a lot of times for us to execute if we have a negative voice than if we have the positive voice. And I think that some of us have a different thought, and we all have different drivers, right? Yeah. But I think that the point here is that, like, to quote my friend Tony Robbins here, like, push motivation or fear or anger or negative energy is short-lived.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's what gets you moving. And it can be used very well, but it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if we're constantly being mean to ourselves and we're constantly talking negatively to ourselves, a lot of time what then happens is we start moving, but then it's like, it's quickly subsided, because now it's like, oh, well, I guess I'm a piece of shit then.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas if we can then identify now the positive part, the breaks, as you're mentioning, to now pull us in the direction that we want to go, pull motivation is far more impactful and powerful than like push motivation.
Yeah.
So I mean, I totally agree with you. And I think that, I don't know, I say something silly here, but like, there's a reason why grace and growth both start with like a GR. Like, you need both.
Yeah.
You know? But I think that there's a couple of things that I'm recognizing. Tell me if I'm off base here. One is pattern recognition.
Yeah.
You know, like, I think this is so huge. I'm the same way. When I feel like, I'll feel my eyes right here and on the middle of my forehead. When I feel those kind of tensing up, I know personally that, like, either ego's coming out to play. Maybe I'm being like, maybe I didn't get sleep or something like that. But emotions are getting higher.
Yeah.
Question yourself. And so that's like the first thing for me that I noticed in the moment. So pattern recognition is huge, because if you can recognize the pattern, you can then start to change it, right? But then, like, I think that, you know, something else that I think you're touching on, again, tell me if I'm wrong, is the congruent, like being congruent, right? Like, you have an idea in your head of like what life should be like and who you should be like, right? And when we're not holding those contracts with ourselves that we've kept, right?
Yeah.
We're now being incongruent. We're now not being aligned with the values that we care about. I was listening to you ever listen to Motiversity on YouTube?
Not that one, no.
No.
He's going to listen to these.
I know. I got a bunch of stuff I listen to, and I'm like,
I'm
talking about all of this stuff in the show notes.
Yeah.
So like Motiversity is it's a channel. It's one of my favorites, actually, and it's really just, they put together these really well done, like, cinematic, like, clips from like motivational speakers and people like Alex Ramosi and like a lot of these people, right? And they put, like, you know, dramatic music to it.
I think I have a list of, like, I have a YouTube playlist. There's a guy I saw on Instagram. He was like, every morning I wake up And it's like, if I want to by myself and I just listen to this, yeah, man, fight the urge, just sell everything and just give up. Yeah. And so you listen to this, it kind of,
Dude, same thing. As soon as I'm done working out in the morning, I put that on and I'm like juiced, right?
yeah.
But the thing, okay, so something that someone said that was on it the other day, though, was like, if you don't like yourself, right, which is often where this depression, anxiety, all this stuff comes from.
Yeah.
Identify someone that you do like, someone that you admire, someone that like you're like, man, that person's amazing. And pick like one or two things that you think that person does.
Yeah.
Are they integrous? Are they honest? Do they express love? Like whatever it may be. And just do those two things.
Yeah.
And then build on.
Yeah.
And like that becoming congruent, and now I'm being very personal. Like for me, becoming congruent was like the number one thing personally. So becoming clear on like what my values were, but then becoming congruent with those values, or working towards it anyway, has really been a huge, like, okay, like I don't really need this anxiety or depression anymore because I'm actually doing the things that I said that I was going to do, and I'm aligning with the person that I want to be.
And I think anxiety ends up being the fear of what's to come kind of thing. Sure, if you're doing the right things, there's nothing to fear. You're taking control. Your parent, yeah, exactly, right. And once you're in control, you're ready. Now you're prepared. Kind of go back to Cat Bucket. You're prepared to race your hit your ball, sir. And I was thinking until your point, you were talking about pattern recognition and everything. And the one thing I learned, the one thing I was really good at, was I always wanted to be a behaviorist, BCBA, certified behavior analyst. I worked with a brilliant one down in Pensacola, Florida. Taught me a lot of good stuff, because the school I worked at was pretty wild for a minute there. We had the padded rooms and magnetic doors.
Cool.
The kids was,
no, I mean, maybe not cool. Sorry.
Yeah, it was a unique experience, definitely. And it was, when you start to address a negative behavior will always get worse before it gets better. Sure. So, when you're working with a kid and you start to kind of, you want to mitigate their outbursts, you're probably going to see an uptick in those outbursts once you kind of start attacking them. And I think that kind of happens, with us too. We don't realize is if, I want to be this and I'm doing this and I'm going to make these changes. I might find myself kind of fighting these changes, but growth isn't linear. It's like this. Yeah. So it's going to, I think that you got to be prepared, and even in other people, but especially yourself, if you're going to try to change something or adjust something, you can kind of expect some resistance. Yes. Be prepared for that. And you fight through that. I think on the other side is growth and change with good things. I agree with that. And I think, a lot of people don't realize, go back to that negative self-talk, our brains, what they call neuroplasticity, it's very malleable. Yes. It can change. And one thing for me that I've worked on is, and I love my dad to death. Sure. But yeah, he grew up with, my grandpa was a beast of a man, 6'9", massive guy, but had a really big temper. And I think that kind of, my dad saw that, and that's what he had for a while. And I had to, still to this day, I think maybe at times have a hard time expressing himself, emotions, and getting out, and I saw that. And there was just times where I was like, I don't want to be that, for my kids. I mean, yeah, no, shout out my dad, but no, try.
We do the best we can.
Yes, exactly. And he's on his path, I'm on my path, and I saw what I wanted to be. And, but in talking to you and my kids, you almost I had to like train myself to not get so angry at first, or like emotional, or charged up over just like some little things. I'm just trying to, like, if it signal go my way, yeah. And the more you do that, you're actually starting to change your neural pathway. Yes. I explained to my boys, I did two things with them one time. I showed them a balloon. I said, every time you get angry, you get upset, and you don't process it, the balloon just gets bigger and bigger. Eventually, it's going to pop, and you're going to lose your mind. So you got to let the air out. Go out for it, and let the air out in the balloon a little bit. And so when you're angry about something, a lot of times anger, you're not angry, you're embarrassed, you're upset. It's an iceberg, right? That's right. So if you can pause yourself in that moment and not respond angry, but identify the emotion, identify what's really happening, then you can address the problem, process it, move on. And the more you do that, the less likely you are to respond to you're just treating those neural pathways all in space. I explained it to him like a highway too. Like you have this off ramp, you don't want that off ramp anymore. So you want to keep going. And if we can, get the construction guys out there, put up the roadblockers and close that exit and move to this next one, that's probably a better thing for you. So the more we do it, the more we respond this way, we're to block that exit and open up a new one. And that's what we want. So we are able to change the way we perceive things, the way we react, the way we respond, and how we handle ourselves. And it takes work and not always easy.
No, it's not easy. It's simple.
Yeah.
But size, yeah.
Fit out, yeah.
And I think some people confuse those things. Hey, I really appreciate, you sharing what you have here. I'm curious to know, like, do you have a favorite book?
It's funny. It's fictional. That's fine. It's a Louis L'Amour. It's The Last of the Breed. Every winter, I get up really, really early in the morning. It's dark out, it's cold, and I don't know if you're familiar with the book, but it's an Air Force guy. He's a Native American guy, and he gets he's flying an experimental craft and gets shot down by the Russian to take him prison. And he escapes the prison, and he's out on his own. He's got to like make his own clothing and arrows and all that. And it's about his like trek through Russia, and they're hunting him down and everything else. So it's a Louis L'Amour book. I love it. I listen to it every winter. And there'll be morning when I'm like up, draw a rock on, and it's like dark out, it's cold out. And I'm like walking as I'm listening to, it's on audio right now. I have the physical book, but I listen to an audio, and as he's going through his trials, I'm going through my trial, freeze him and getting up there. And it's always been something I just like. And you're good if I were like, yeah.
That's cool, man. Actually, I really like that. And actually reminds me a bit of like Goggins or like,
Iris is nuts.
Well, yeah, but what do they talk about? Like Hormozy does the same thing. He talks about like, it's your struggle.
Yeah.
Right. And it's getting through those struggles that helps us build the confidence and like getting over, like realizing that we can do hard things.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny. My wife has person she follows, she's in the health thing and everything else. So sure, she might got her integrative health practitioner certificate and cool, but there's your person on how to get along. What's that?
So your wife and my wife.
Yeah, like she loves it. There's a one, her name's Andy Dream, but she everything was always we can do our things, and that's right. I think it was 2 years ago for my wife's birthday, I got her a sweatshirt so we can do our things. So that's cool. Yeah,
I like that. What about a favorite podcast?
I always go back to, I find him, so I don't really like somebody. I always go back to Joe. I like the length of it. He'll sit there for 3 hours, and I think he gets a bad rap.
Well, he's just very honest.
Yeah, but he's open to hear all sides. What right side, that's right, side, whatever. And it's like I can get a different perspective and hear what he has to say. And he has, I think, intelligent conversations. But I'm shifting from him. I was listening to, I think it's like Chris Williamson. I was listening to him. And then I'm trying to find something in the morning. I think that just started with the Morning Brew, where it's kind of like, quick shot of like what's going on. Let's talk about it. And that way, when I'm in the morning, I can actually bring something to my kids, because they'll come to me and be like, "What do you think about this?"
So you know the news.
Yeah, and hey, what's going on? And what do you think about this? It is something, or pretty recently, it said something I was like, I don't even know anything about.
Was it 6, 7?
No, that's it. Oh my gosh, I cannot. I don't even get it. No,
I don't either. It's so funny though. My daughter, she's 7, and she's whatever. It's just really funny.
In fact, my youngest, he's 9. He came home talking about brain rot or something, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he started saying something, and I was like, I don't even know. And like then my wife explained it to me. It's, I guess, like there's all these words out there now, like 6-7, Sigma, and Ohio, and Riz, and this and that. And I guess people are now like back in the day used to be like gibberish. You talk gibberish,
right?
And now it's like brain rot, and they'll talk in these things, and I'm like, this is so dumb. But that's like, I don't know what anyone doing here, but
we said some pretty dumb things.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. I mean, so
Well, cool, man. I really appreciate you being on. I really appreciate you coming out here and sharing your story. Thank you. It means a lot. If you all have any feedback or anything, as usual, please drop it in the comments. Like and subscribe would be great. But hey, if you have any ideas of who you think should be on the show next, any other questions you'd like me to ask, any other detours you'd like me to take in my chat, or if you'd like me to shut up more, that's cool too. Nothing's off the table. We'll see you next time.
All right. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.